In this interview with Gael Breton from Authority Hackers, we're going to talk about why niche sites are not dead if you do the following strategies that he talks about. We're going to talk about some actionable ways to actually make your content rank well, what you can do about EAT, some of the biggest reasons that websites are getting hit, plus the future of AI and SEO and niche sites. So let's get into it. Let's go. A niche site's dead.
Okay. No, I don't think they're dead. Actually, I've been doing a lot of research, like especially after HCU, right? HCU's shaped up the world quite a bit. And the thing is, niche sites that are not genuine took a fucking massive hit. Let's not beat around the bush here. People who don't do the thing they talk about on their site, people who haven't built a real business around their site, people who, hire the cheapest writer they can to write reviews based on reading the Amazon page, etc. This has taken a beating, no question. Genuine sites that actually do the thing and do it properly, they're doing just fine. And I can give you some examples. For example, shavercheck.com is a review site built basic general WordPress or like very basic WordPress thing. DR30, I think, ranking very well for like best electric shaver, best head shaver, like kind of like these big commercial terms where you'd expect like Forbes to show up and wire cutter and all of that. It's like these guys are just doing just fine in these SERPs, for example. I'll give you another example of a travel site that has done pretty well. Sunspotter.com. This guy's DR23 has 100K plus traffic, and all he does is he takes a plane, takes a bunch of photos of all the flights he does and reviews flights, and he ranks very well for all these keywords as well. You can go check it out. It's not high DR sites as well, right? We're talking like DR30 less sites. And I basically have a spreadsheet full of these people. And it's like, what I think is happening is that there's many things happening is Google. Obviously, Parasite SEO is fucking killing it right now. Let's agree with that. AI spam works temporarily, so sites tend to do really well, and then they kind of go down eventually when Google makes a core update or something like that. So it's a 6 months play, so 9 months play, something like this. And I doubt many of these sites will be around in 2 or 3 years. And then on the other side, they're actually starting to understand the EEAT stuff a lot better. But it's so small because Google has essentially trained people to make sites that didn't need to be genuine, didn't need to do the real thing, and you'd rank just fine provided you followed the search intent, right? And so what that does is that you have a sea of sites that are cookie cutter sites. And Google rewarded you with a lot of traffic for a long time, and now they're kind of like turning around 180 and they're like, oh, we think this content is shit. And then they're just turning around to the sites that didn't used to get traffic, like these sites that don't follow these formats, but actually do the real thing. And they're rewarding them with traffic. So I think there's a new playbook that needs to be written on how to do niche sites. I think it's more difficult. You need to be more genuine. You need to do it properly. But I think because there's so few of them, there's also going to be big opportunities. Another example of a site that's doing well is naplab.com. I've interviewed him on the podcast. He's a mattress review site, right? Mattress, one of the most difficult affiliate niche out there, highest paying niche, right? Difficult. I think he's DR 40 and same, he's over 100K traffic for all affiliate keywords in the mattress niche. Didn't do any single link building, but got every single mattress he reviewed and has like a scientific process on reviewing mattresses, for example. So there's a category of sites that are surging after these updates. They're minimal. They're not part of the community. So they're not really showed up. And also, there's still like a lot of big publishers out there. So they're quite hard to find sometimes, but these sites are doing okay. So it's niche sites are what is considered a good niche site by Google, the definition is changing a lot, but niche sites on their own, they're not dead. All the examples I gave you, they're low D and they're run by single people or small teams, basically.
So basically, at that point, you're building a real brand on you, a real business, and it's
Yeah.
not just about SEO anymore. It's about actually building something bigger than that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's mostly about, I think the user metric stuff is properly real. It's, if people actually Google your brand, if people spend more time on your site, etc. These are things that take a while to process, and Google to get enough data on a small site probably takes 6 months, a year, etc. So if you want to do a flash case study or how to rank the site in 2 days or whatever, that's not going to show up. But long term, these sites are doing like fine. And because they show your photos, because also if you check these sites I gave you, the way they write is quite different. There's no wall of text. It's very image heavy, it's very visual, etc. And so like eventually this pays off, but there's such a delay on the way Google processes these things. And they often tend to show off, like the result tend to show off when there's a core update or something like that, kind of not too much in between. That it's like the SEO was too impatient to observe these things because it takes a while basically. But yeah, overall, what I'm seeing is overall the internet has less and less space for non-genuine people, for people who don't do the stuff they talk about. Because if you're trying to do a YouTube channel for any niche, good luck trying to make a drones YouTube channel, not having any drone that you test or review. and not having any drones footage, right? Same for an Instagram account, same for a TikTok channel, same for everything. And then Google's realized that these platforms are on this level and that they need to kind of catch up. Obviously, there's a big spam problem running at the same time, right? So you can spam AI and rank fine for a little bit. There is a parasite SEO problem. That's definitely another thing. But if we're talking just about niche sites, that's pretty much like what I'm feeling they're focusing on right now. And to some extent is working, but it's being so overshadowed by the spam going on that you need to go look for it to actually see it, you know?
If it requires actual experience and obviously a lot more time on the content in terms
Yeah.
of, thinking about the user and thinking about how they engage with it and creating something from your own experience, essentially, how do you scale that or how do you make it as profitable as it would be normally?
I think you need to evolve your business model, obviously. So if you're just a guy that's trying to collect Amazon Amazon reviews and think that it's not going to be enough, it's enough to start, right? If you're just starting to make money. So for example, let's say I'm starting today and I want to start with Amazon because it's easy and it's like the only one that's going to accept me because I don't really have a brand yet. I would start a site, but probably I would look at the Amazon influencer program and try to make money on site with Amazon at the same time. So I can both be genuine and get paid early with the videos I'm making. I can post these videos on social platforms, actually get some genuine following there and at the same time build the content on my site that's genuine. And then it's like you kind of like kill two birds in one stone, and then it becomes quite possible. And Amazon influencer program is pretty easy to make money in. Another way is to actually just make courses. So I'll give you another example of the site, right? A weird site. I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? And that was Saffin the Seat. Con. It's a DR39 site that talks about children's car seats. That's all they do. And they make money. They have a course that actually teaches people how to make their children safe in the car. By the way, this site is doing just fine with HEU, 70K plus traffic, DR39. And you see that they have affiliate reviews, they have all of that, they're making money with that, but they also elevated their business model with essentially selling a course. And it looks like it's doing okay for them. So it's like that gives you an example of a niche site that evolved their business model.
I guess to that point as well, it's about going way beyond the normal 80/20.
I mean, you can start like that, right? You can start just, as I said, you can start an Amazon site, start reviewing the stuff that you have at home with the Amazon influencer program, and then you can get started there. But the thing is, you're going to have to, for a long time, you could stay this shitty review site forever and just scale content and make a ton of money, basically. This inflection point has to come a lot earlier in the journey now, basically. Like and then when you do your niche planning, you need to be planning other business models. Like when you take the authority site system, we have a whole section on planning info product. We have a whole section on planning actually products, etc. We actually talk about all these things when we do that. It's just for a long time, Google has so over rewarded just writing random cookie cutter review content that nobody bothered. But now that things are changing, people are looking in different directions. And I see a lot of our members have already started to change a lot of the way they monetize their sites. Like we have a lot of members creating courses right now. We have a lot of members doing more sponsored content as well, but like actual sponsored content, not selling links, like getting on other platforms like YouTube, Instagram, etc. And yeah, it's a bit of dabbling at the beginning. A lot of people you see also are getting a lot on Pinterest right now. It drives quite a bit of traffic. A lot of people are doing the Facebook page stuff where they get likes to Facebook page and then they actually drive traffic from it. Apparently it's working. I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, it's like in general, people will have to be genuine because the internet has less and less room to not be genuine anymore.
I've seen that on YouTube just as a platform. For example, people now are craving authenticity. If you
Yeah,
look at those
exactly.
videos, yeah, like highly edited videos don't perform anywhere near as well as like an authentic website. I mean, like for example, my own YouTube channel is just me in my office clicking buttons on ChatGPT, and that seems to work really well.
Yeah, and it's because people they like think about yourself like consuming content. Forget the creator part of it. It's like that's what you want to see. You want to see someone who's like doing the thing, talking about it, and even if it's not perfect, it's kind of fun, right? You can identify a bit more, especially when there's like hiccups, etc. And it's like this standard is just coming to websites. Websites were on the lower standard compared to the rest of the internet for a while now. It was accepted on social media that you would never be big if you don't actually show the thing you're talking about. No way you could do that. You couldn't just make a shitty voiceover video with a shitty animation talking about how to do fitness or whatever. It's like except picture fit. Actually, it's a good. It's a maybe this YouTube channel is a counter example. But overall, you have to be genuine. And just websites are coming to that same standard because otherwise Google's gonna die. That's the answer is like if Google serves inferior information to other platforms, people will stop using Google. So Google has a choice: either make a big change or slowly become irrelevant. And of course, they have to go in that direction.
In terms of, I know you mentioned otherwise, if Google keeps serving low quality, say AI spam, it's going to
Yeah.
die. How do you feel about the future of SEO and the future of Google? Like, are you optimistic, pessimistic?
I mean, it's going to change a lot. There's no doubt about that. But we're following a trend that has started prior to AI taking off, which is platforms sending less traffic to sites. So if you look at the referring traffic from Twitter, the referring traffic from Facebook, the referring traffic from pretty much any big platform, it has been going down over the years. They are trying to keep the traffic on their platform so that they can make more money, right? And AI is merely a tool in that trend that's going to help all platforms trying to keep people on the platform to do that. And so there's still like long days for SEO. Like the habit of Googling and clicking a link is ingrained in people's head. And I think there's like a decade of traffic still happening. But there's also a trend happening at the same time, which is less and less clicks from platforms to websites. And that's another reason to start a real business. Because when you start a real business, look at your business, for example, you're not bothering too much with clicks to site. You just want people to watch your videos on YouTube. So you're fine to do, and you build a relationship there. And then you only take the people who are ready to convert and you bring them to your site. So you don't need nearly as much traffic as you would if you're trying to, for example, rank the article on Google and get like a gazillion clicks to then try to convert people when they are on your site, because you're doing that relationship building on the platform. And I think that's a trend that is going to confirm itself across all platforms. And while I believe there's still a lot of traffic to be had for quite a while on Google, even with SG, etc., I think that it's a good idea to start thinking of building businesses, if you want them to last, that can do that relationship building on platform. That means posting your content on these platforms and then just sending people to your site for the final conversion. So personally, that's the way I'm seeing this for our businesses. I build long-term assets. I don't care about how much money I make in 6 months or whatever. It's irrelevant at this point. What matters is, can I build an asset that can run without me eventually and actually make me money while I'm eventually doing nothing? And for that, I need to see long term and I need to play into that trend. So yeah, SEO is still around for a while. SEO will probably send less traffic over time. That's my answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think as well that every strength is tied to a weakness, right? So, for example, if SEO and Google stop sending so much traffic to your site because of AI,
Yeah.
well, actually, you can leverage AI to get more traffic from other platforms anyway. It's very
And
easy.
it's not so simple. Think about it. It depends on the customer journey, because it's great to, for example, on Authority Hacker, we went quite well on Google right now. We get quite a bit of traffic and it's great. I get all that traffic, but I get people like really early in their journey, right? They're like looking for affiliate programs or they're not really looking to buy anything of ours. I don't really care that they get that information on my site or on another platform. What I care about is the final conversion, right? And so what I'm seeing happening is like more of the user journey is going to happen on platform, not hitting your site. But then the people who hit your site are much warmer to buying. So for example, your YouTube videos are a good example. By the time people hit your website, they've watched your content, they've grown trust in you. And so your conversion rate to an email is probably over 10% on your site or something, probably 30%, I would say, on the squeeze page, or 40%. And if it's not exactly a squeeze page, maybe it depends on the content, but something like, or at least double figures. Whereas on your blog post, it's never over 10%, right? It's a 1-2% conversion rate, something like that. And so I wouldn't care if my traffic divided by 10, if my conversion rate is multiplied by 10. And so the idea of, I don't care about traffic. Please don't go on my website. It costs me money. It's what I want is I want people ready to take action. And if you think like that, then while traffic will go down, the money made from SEO might not go down nearly as much as the traffic will go down.
So then it's kind of like we need a mindset switch where you're not so much thinking about, okay, I'm getting less clicks than before. You're thinking more, okay, are my conversion rates at the end of the funnel higher or lower?
Exactly. How much money do I make? I don't pay my bills in clicks, no? What do I care about clicks? I don't care. SEO is merely a tool that drives me traffic that eventually drives conversions. Like the way we run SEO for us, for example, like I'll tell you, we have a very deep analytics system, and I can tell you exactly the value of a lead per page and the conversion. I can tell you how much money I make. So I have pages that get 200 visits per month. A lead is worth like $50 to me. And I have pages that get 20,000 visits per month, and the lead is worth $0.2 to me. And quite often, if you observe us doing SEO from the point of view of Ahrefs or something, you'll see us spend a lot of effort on like tiny pages, and you'll see us spend very little effort on pages that drive lots of traffic, barely updating them, etc. And that's because we have these kind of metrics. And I think that's the problem with SEO. The SEO do SEO, but SEOs don't think about business very often. And fuck clicks. I don't care. You guys, it's like what I care about is how much is in the bank account at the end of the month. And it's not always the most traffic that makes the most money. And I'm sure you see that with your business too.
I mean, just look at YouTube alone. There are channels with 1 million subscribers who make pennies.
Yeah, they
You
make
know,
less than you do with yourself, right?
yeah, they didn't think about conversion rate optimization. They didn't think about how much money they're going to make before they start the business. And we can talk about YouTube in a second because I think it's a really good opportunity for SEO, and I'd
For
be
sure.
interested to get your thoughts as well. But yeah, I think you have to think, all right, it doesn't matter how much traffic I get, doesn't matter how many clicks I get, doesn't matter if SG takes away 90% of my traffic. What matters is how much money do I make at the end of the day.
Revenue per visitor, right? It's like the way I see it is like people are gonna ask all the stupid questions they have about the topic, and they will stay on platforms. So they stay on Google reading the SG answer, they stay on YouTube, whatever. And then if you're like kind of like that last touch point and you build trust doing that, then they'll just click on the link and they'll convert right away because they found all the information that they needed before they convert, right? So if you look at your revenue per visitor being mostly a YouTuber, it's probably a lot higher than ours, where we have quite a bit of like SEO traffic and less traffic from YouTube because that informative part of the process is done on our side and many people don't convert, whereas people who land on your side, they're ready to opt in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, just coming onto YouTube, I know obviously you've got a channel as well,
Mhm.
and a lot of really good quality videos on there where you are showing, not telling people how to do SEO. I do think we might look back in 5 or 10 years and say YouTube was an absolute goldmine back then. Because, for example, when it comes to SEO, when it comes to traffic, number one, it's the second biggest search engine in the world. But number two, I can tell you now, my biggest videos that blow up, like the 200K videos,
You know?
the traffic from Google.
Yeah.
They're not getting most of the traffic from YouTube. And it's so easy to rank multiple times for the same keyword of YouTube and serve your website multiple times for.
Do a LinkedIn article, dude, as well. They rank really well. It's kind of crazy. You literally have a whole blogging platform at the R90 plus site and you can rank that. It's kind of stupid. That's one process I want to look at. Actually, I want to look at all our stuff that doesn't rank because it's become too competitive and just move it to LinkedIn or something. Just because at this point, it's basically parasite SEO, but in a good way because it's like, it's your channel, you're building a brand, you're doing all that. So it's like, you can leverage the mechanics that Google is favoring right now, but also do it in a sustainable, clean way that's not going to be wiped out tomorrow. I don't see Google removing YouTube from the subs. You kind of get the best of both worlds doing that. And so, especially when you're a new site, like, I mean, so many terms are extremely competitive right now. The big sites are going for more long tail keywords. And overall, also, Google serves less long tail content. Like you Google like best vacuum cleaner for pet hair or whatever, and they just serve you like the best vacuum cleaner page from Forbes instead of actually serving you like a niche site with that page that targets this exactly. And so, yeah, just leverage things this way, but like doing the clean way. I don't like the idea of writing newspapers, etc. Especially when there's like free options now.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn posts is overpowered. Like, it's got to the point
So
where
so much.
it's ridiculous. Like, I'm so confident that I can rank an article with LinkedIn posts, not because I'm a great NCO, but because it's overpowered,
Yeah.
that I will record a YouTube live where I create the article showing the keyword and say, this is going to rank within 24 hours.
Yeah. It's super easy. And the thing as well is like when you're on large site, you can spam basically. Like you, in terms of links, you can do things that would kill your small site, but you're not going to kill LinkedIn. And quite often, like the way it works is like Google probably discounts like 80% of these links, but 20% are not discounted. Their filter is not that good, and it still pushes it up a bit. So I haven't tested it directly, but from my experience, I know that, pushing any kind of links to these kind of websites just does fine, to be honest. The only problem is like obviously cannibalization, right? Because like you post on LinkedIn, there might be like a lot of people targeting that keyword, and Google's just rotating the pages it shows for this. The only problem with these platforms is that so you need to go quite niche, and it's really a keyword research effort. And with time, it's going to get more difficult if things stay that way. I'm not sure they will stay that way, but for now, it's working.
That was my next question. Do you think it's going to stay that way for long?
I mean, it really depends. Like, I've read this article about Google is a shit place to work now, and people are depressed in the office, and nobody has any vision, etc. It's pretty grim, to be honest. That made me more afraid for the future than the recent updates, to be honest. Their inability to address challenges because they have a big challenge in front of them. Yeah, I think this year we're seeing like one or two massive corrections slash fixes to what's happening right now. There's no way it stays that way. Imagine if Jackie's partnerships keep working. Imagine if you can still ranking all that stuff, etc. What does Google look like a year from now? Google is an absolute shit show if things stay that way in a year from now. It's going to be ridiculous. And so I'm not sure the reshakeup is going to be a good shakeup, but they're going to have to change the rules so that something doesn't become so prominent that it destroys the search results. If that makes sense, you know? It's like when you play online games, you know, they change the settings of the characters every 6 months so that because eventually people figure out the best tactic and just do that nonstop and the game becomes stale. Very much like that. It doesn't mean it's always better, but it means that if the kind of stuff that's working today stays that way, and there are a lot of people showing it's working, it means more people flow to that strategy, which means more people do it. And it's kind of like a snowball getting bigger and bigger. And eventually Google is destroyed, basically. So it's really a survival fight that they're fighting right now. It's like, how do you stay relevant against Microsoft and OpenAI, who are extremely aggressive with Google right now? I mean, they literally changed the keyboards on Windows laptops to make an AI key that calls Copilot. So now there's a physical key on your keyboard if you buy a new laptop, and that calls Copilot with GPT-4, and that does web search and everything. So it's a huge threat for Google on top of not being the default search engine probably very soon for like things like iPhones, etc., which could cost them quite a bit of market share. So add that on top of the fact that they have to essentially, you know, hijack their own search results to put some AI in there to stay relevant, probably less ad clicks as well. They are not in a very favorable position right now. But I think for us as SEOs, it means more shakeups, basically. But I do
Yeah,
think
I
they're doing a
think
good job on the genuine sites. It's hard to see. You need to dig them. And I'll post more of them eventually on social media. I have a list of 50 sites like that I found, like the previous ones I gave you. So they are figuring something out here, but it's a bit too little too late, I think, you know?
Yeah, I think with Bing as well, like you said, they're very aggressive. They'll happily lose money just to get
Yeah.
more users.
Yeah. It's a Google is actually the smaller company here. Microsoft is actually a bigger company than Google by quite a bit. So if you think that Google is that, I mean, in search, they're winning, but if they really were to throw everything they have at it behind that, Microsoft wins that one, actually, which is scary. Obviously, not many people use Bing yet, but I think if the antitrust thing goes through, I think that they're really scared, Google, actually.
The other thing I worry about is, and I don't know if I worry about it, but I can see it as a threat to Google, certainly, is you got companies like Apple GPT that they're working on. It just takes one update on the iPhone to stop people using Google and start people using the AI built in within Apple, within the software.
I'm not sure. Apple really likes Google. Google gives them, I think it's percent of the money they make from search. It goes to Apple if it's from a Safari or something. So it's Google literally gets probably as much, if not more money than Google for running Google as its search engine. Because think about it, Google has to run Google, right? There's all the costs associated with that. And they still have to hand over 36% of that profit back to Apple to be the default search engine. So if I'm Apple, I'm like, great. I have no headache at building a search engine. I don't need to build an ad platform to justify this. And I'm taking literally the same profit margin as Google is taking for running Google. So if anything, if I was Apple, I would root for Google for sure in the way it is. But also it shows you how desperate Google is to stay in that position. And it shows you their lack of confidence in their product, in my opinion. All Apple's amazing negotiation skills, I don't know which one comes first, but it's really a lot of money.
I had no idea. I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah, I think Tim Cook said to the CEO of Google, said that like he really sees their company working together. I'm even wondering if they might not release like a Siri powered by Bard or something. I think there would be a lot of antitrust issues here, so they might not. They could have collaboration behind the scenes or something.
Do you think that a lot of AI sites are going to get hit then over say the next 6 or 12 months?
Probably, yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends how you do. AI is such a blanket. You can do quality AI assisted content. We actually have a process for that in Authority Hacker Pro. It still takes a while to make an article, but you get some help on the outline, you get some help on even the writing part. So you do a very detailed outline. Then when you feed GPT good information, it does good writing. I have no problem with that. And actually, the example article that I've written in that course is still ranking today. And that was when GPT-4 was released. So it's pretty much a year ago. It's doing just fine. It's like position 1, 2 for medium competition target kill. So it can be done. When I'm talking about AI sites, I'm talking about the people who like place 1,000 keywords in Koala and then just press play and then just publish that, right? On an expired domain, there are 40, let's say something like this, and just rank. And it's working. I'm observing many sites where it's working for a while. But it's kind of like the old days of gray hat. I used to do that with Squidoo when I started. I used to rank Squidoo pages with spamming extra. I used to spam ticket systems that were indexable back then, literally support systems. And I was able to get backlinks from high authority sites to rank what we called Web 2.0 pages at the time, very similar to what we see today with Parasite. So literally, I've done that 12 years ago, and I see it again today. The sites spike up, then they kind of plateau for a while, and then they just crash, 6 to 9 to 12 months later, something like this. I guess the question is, are you making a profit? Because if you know it's going to crash, you need to not overinvest to not kill your profit. And then if you underinvest, you're also not going to make it. So it's really a resource game. And it's not illegal, right? It's up to Google to not index them. It's their fault if they index. You're allowed to, but I'm not sure it's as profitable as it sounds for most people. Because okay, you'll see that amazing case study of that guy ranking for all these keywords and doing great, etc. I'm following an ex-competitor who does that now. He's got like 68 and gets like 500,000 according to Ahrefs. But for every successful case study, there's 10 failed sites. And running GPT-4 and doing a lot, if you're running on Koala, if you want the auto optimization, all that stuff, etc., you need to produce lots of content. It's not that cheap, right? I estimated that this guy spent like, you know, 25 grand on content, 30 grand on content. And I'm estimating he's making 5 to 10 grand a month on ads, let's say, something like that. So the question is, do you tank before you make your return on investment? And how much profit do you make before you tank, basically? It can be a game that you can play if you're really strapped for cash. But personally, for where I am in business right now, it's a waste of time because I don't need cash right now. And it's better to build an asset that's going to be producing over the long time. Like the money you make is like how much you make multiplied by how long you make it. Simple as that, right? And that's the output. And so you can try to play on how much you make, but if you play on just one level, you tend to burn out. It's quite hard to scale up infinitely in that direction. So eventually you need to play on time to make more money. And to do that, you tend to have more constraint. But once you reach a certain scale, it's like an AI site making 200K a month. I haven't heard of this, for example. Something like that. If you want to build a bigger business, it's very difficult to scale only vertically with that. You need time to make up that much money.
The other thing you find as well is a lot of the survivor bias, where you see all the wins, but
Exactly.
you don't see the 10 sites that failed in between, right?
Exactly. So if you want one successful site, you might need to build 10 or 15. And so like, how much API cost is that? Or how much Koala cost is that? It's who's winning? It's Koala, Koala wins every time, whether your site is successful or not. And so it's the interesting part. And so yes, it works. Yes, there are AI sites ranking. And yes, it's exciting. I have an employee that runs an AI site right now. He's getting like also 400K visits per month or something like that. And he's doing really well. So I see it. It works. But he has many failed projects before that as well.
Yeah, that's it. You might have a 10% success rate or something like that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's great hat for you. You're playing with fire, you accept the rules. It's not illegal. You're allowed to do that. It's Google's fault for indexing it and ranking it. It's not yours. And are you making a profit? How much money are you really making? And what are the alternative ways to make money? Because during that time, like you're building these projects, you could be building the base of an asset that could serve you for a decade or two instead. And that's where I feel like there's a cost of missed opportunity that most people don't factor in. But maybe if you want to learn how Google works, you've never done SEO, you need to get some ground experience in the trenches. Yeah, why not? Have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun with it, experiment with it, and see where it takes you. What's your plans for Authority Hacker? Obviously, I don't see publishing as many YouTube videos maybe as you were previously.
So the YouTube channel now is very much the podcast. So it's like we kind of like ramped up the production of the podcast. We have another YouTube channel probably coming this year, actually. So probably the main YouTube channel is gonna just focus on the podcast, stay the podcast. That's most of the content that's there. So it's like people who are subscribed expect the podcast. So we have another YouTube channel. We're not exactly sure how we're gonna run it exactly, but we're kind of like we're hiring for it right now, actually, to help us with it. So it's like you'll probably see us more on YouTube and other platforms as well. We're gonna walk the talk that I'm saying, like we're adjusting that. We're actually doing quite well on SEO right now. Like I think in the last 12 months, we like 4x the traffic to the site. So we've done quite okay despite the updates, etc. We do a lot of link building, actually. Doesn't sound like it, but we do a lot of digital PR, etc. So we use the agency that first. Now we have actually in-house teams that are like starting to do this, etc. So we're doing like the very, very white hat side of link building right now. It's working really well for us. We've been testing. I've been helping students as well. There's several students that got affected by the updates, etc. I wanted to, get my hands dirty after all that stuff happened. And the best way to do that is like literally just do free consulting for people, like helping people like audit their site, fix stuff, change things, etc. And we've had some success. Like there's a site called ibisfax.com that's actually an affiliate for us. And we managed to recover 50% of the lost traffic already. So it's not like fully done. And then based on that, then courses come out. So we update the courses and then we just launch our courses. But I like to keep this stuff rooted into reality and case studies, basically.
Makes sense. My video's just jumped off.
Yeah.
I'm back on with a webcam.
All right.
It's all right. Panic over. How did you recover that site from HCU?
I mean, I wouldn't call it a recovery because not all the traffic's back. So it's better. It's 50% of the traffic lost came back. And it's a process that we've also applied to Authority Hacker before core update. And we got also 30% traffic bump at that core update. And it's basically a very, very hardcore content pruning and recentering the site on what their main niche is. So we kind of have a scorecard, for like pages. And literally we make a big Notion database with every single URL on the site. And I have some like auto filtering, etc., to help a little bit, especially for large sites. But eventually, so on the Toy Hacker, for example, I removed 60% of index pages when I did that. And my traffic jumped up 30. But this guy removed about half his pages from the index as well. Basically, the concept, the reasoning behind that is that Google, during core updates, evaluates your site and puts it in a tier system, right? Like this tiering thing, like S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, etc. Imagine Google has that for websites. And then based on your tier, it's kind of a ranking multiplier, right? So if you're S tier, you're like rankings times 2. If you're F tier, your rankings divided by 5, something like this. And depending on that, you have a ranking multiplier. And how it works is you have a quality score for your page, very similar to like how Google AdWords work, right? Like you have a score on 1 to 10 for your pages. And the goal when you do your heavy content pruning is to bring your average score to like a 7 or an 8, for example. So you literally give a score between 1 and 10 to every single page on your site. Anything that's below 7 and 8, it needs to be fixed or it needs to go. It's pretty intense, but we've seen positive results with that. We actually have a training coming up on H Pro on this very soon. Actually, I'm working on it right now because we've done enough case
That's
studies at
great.
this point. So
Yeah,
it's pretty intense. It's painful. Like the site owners, they cry a little bit when I'm like, you're gonna have to remove half your content. But so far, so good. Obviously, it doesn't mean you get all your traffic back. Like I give you the example of this site, it doesn't mean he got all his traffic back, but he's definitely a lot better than he was, for example.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I actually learned SEO and link building from your course originally, like years ago.
Nice.
And Charlie Kelly as well. I think he did a video
Yeah, yeah.
testimonial. Yeah, so he was the one who like really taught me link building, how it works, and everything like that as well.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, he's one of our main cases. His story was so cool, actually. Like, it's like, I didn't care about the money he made. I care about the change it made to his life. Like how he was like having a low life in the UK and it allowed him to move to Thailand and have a life that he enjoyed. To me, that was more powerful than like any number on a bank account. It's like how much happier he was. And that was really cool, basically.
He got his job application rejected from McDonald's
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah. I know. He told me that's in the testimonial, actually. That's what we talked about. Because success is like, I mean, money is cool, but money when you're not happy it doesn't matter. And so like, it's like, we try to highlight like how doing this properly can change that. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of like short-term plays as well. It's, I'm telling you it works, etc. But I wouldn't, I'm not encouraging people to do like a spammy AI site. The reason why is because it's gonna play on your happiness. Like you're gonna be super excited when it works, and you're gonna fucking come crashing down mentally when all your revenue is wiped out by Google when there's an update coming up. And it's not a position that's I appreciate being in. And it's like that's why I tend to recommend people do the right thing. Although let's be honest, Google has killed a lot of legit sites as well with updates. So it's like it gives you less chances of experiencing that. It doesn't mean it protects you completely.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I've seen, vets websites and all sorts of authorities get hit as well.
Yeah, the thing is like it's really about how the content's put together as well. It's like as I said, Google has basically trained webmasters for 15 years to make cookie cutter sites and rank them better. And now they're just 180 and they're like, oh, we hate cookie cutter. You need to change that completely. And so you can be an authority, but still be a shit site if that makes sense. It's possible. Like there's a lot of bad content on large sites. And if you don't hit a large enough size threshold, when you're large enough, you can post anything and you'll be fine. If you don't hit that, then you get hit pretty hard. And there's some medium businesses that took a bit of a battering recently.
Yeah, massively. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some companies shut down off the back of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, man. I want to be respectful of your time. Obviously, you've got the Authority Hacker Pro system, which I would recommend to anyone watching to check out. Is that the best way to get in touch or?
I mean, honestly, just watch the podcast first. Go on our YouTube channel and watch some podcast episodes and see if you like how we think. Like, see if you like how we think. And if you like it, then consider buying one of our courses. Otherwise, it's fine. Just take someone else out. It's like no drama. That's kind of the cool thing with this industry is like there's a lot of people with different opinions, and you get to find the people that you match with the most. But like the thing we try to do in our podcast is we try to challenge other people's ideas and make it so that the audience gets to choose where they want to go as well. So, for example, if you check my interview with like Corey, for example, it's a very
Yeah.
interesting one where it's like I'm trying to be polite, but I'm also trying to chat because obviously he's got a lot of light on him, and I just wanted to look into his stuff and really kind of dig deep, etc. Honestly, he did quite well on the interview, and yeah, it's fun. So go check the podcast.
Yeah, I like that. I think, the controversial videos are good, or the ones where you have a proper debate and it's not
Exactly.
just about the same thing over and over and over again.
Exactly. But yeah, we want to be real, it's that's the thing. It's like we had to scale up our company. And so I had less side projects. And that's why now I'm doing more free consulting for our high level members. I'm just checking their site out, helping out on that. Then they get to implement and I get to kind of like get the feedback on that and fix, etc. Now allows us to stay in touch with all that stuff as well, because like we also run like an organization with quite a few people now. And so it was a challenge for me to also keep that kind of like starter experience. And that's why I'm basically a consultancy for free at this point. My DMs are full of people. I'm calling people and helping them out basically.
Just an SEO charity at this point.
No, we sell the courses. So it's like the experience
Yeah,
gets monetized later. But it's a fair way to do that. And it's a fair way to reward the people who have trusted us as well.
I respect that, man. All right. Well, thanks for being on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out Authority Hackers, they're available at authorityhacker.com and you can check out their free training right there. If you do want to book in a free call about how to get more leads, traffic, and sales from SEO using link building, feel free to book in a free SEO strategy session. Links in the comments and description. You get an SEO domination plan. We'll answer any questions you have and you'll discover the best link building strategies for your website. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Bye bye.